All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Rumor Has It. Today I'm joined with Jesse Powell, Stephen Pecaitis, and Chief Crawford. And we're going to talk about firefighter cancers. So welcome, guys. I appreciate you coming on today. Oh, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Gracie was here too.
Come here, girl.
Yeah, so she's here for our comfort. Jesse, how long have you been on?
I've been on 19 years. 19 years, 5 months to be exact.
Yeah,
I
who's
have
counting?
20 in August.
Awesome. All right,
Yes.
where are you assigned?
I'm assigned to engine 58.
58, okay.
Yes.
50A.
Yeah, 58.
8, okay.
58A.
All right, good to know. And how about you, Steve?
I've been on for 15 years. It'll be 16 July 30th. And I am assigned to the best engine company in the city, Engine 23B.
All right, well, I'm sure there's some lieutenants out there that are going to disagree with that, but I like giving a shout out to your company. I appreciate y'all coming in because I wanted to talk to you a little bit about both of you were diagnosed with cancer. I believe you were diagnosed with prostate cancer, and Lieutenant Pecaitis, you had thyroid cancer.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just wanted to bring you on so y'all can talk about that a little bit today. So if one of you want to start off, I guess, Jesse, we can start with you. Okay. Just tell a little bit about how you were diagnosed and what you've gone through.
Okay. Well, back in 20, I was working for the fire department and working for the hospital. Got tired of the hospital gig and wanted to do something else. So I went and started working for an ambulance service. And once I started working for the ambulance service, they asked me to go get a physical. I've been doing the life science physicals ever since it started. And I asked, can I use an old fire department physical? And they was like, no, we need to get a new one. So the state is coming, no problem. Went and got my physical. The very next day, my physician called me and was asking, hey, Jesse, are you feeling okay? Yes, I feel fine. He said, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. Are you tired? No. What's going on? Well, we have some abnormal, your labs came back abnormal. Okay, what does that mean? We need to see you. When? He said, how soon can you get here? I'm on my way. So I went back in, had my labs redrawn. Came back, my PSA levels were high. They were extremely high. And my white blood cell count was down extremely low. So I was asked to see two specialists, one a urologist and one doctor at Baptist, which I didn't know was an oncologist until I got there. Long story short, I had a bone marrow biopsy to determine why my blood count was down low. And I had the prostate biopsy, which I had a 4mm nodule on my prostate. When that biopsy came back, it came back positive for cancer. It was slow growing on the left, and, it was aggressive on the left, slow growing on the right. And did a little research on it and looked at all the options that I had, talked to a few folks that had cancer, and my best option was to have it removed because everything else would set up infections. I didn't want to do that. So long story short, 2 surgeries and 34 rounds of radiation. Wow. And right now, I'm in a healing process right now.
34 rounds, wow.
Yes.
All right, Stephen, I know yours, you've been going to life science as well, getting in your physical. So let's tell a little bit how you got to your diagnosis.
A little bit different than Mr. Powell's. So in 2017 at Life Science, while they were doing the ultrasound of my neck, they said that my thyroid just looked a little abnormal and, quote, spongy, which I'd never heard. But they had just suggested that I follow up with an endocrinologist. With my boss at home, my wife, really kind of did push me to go see the endocrinologist, and I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder called Hashimoto thyroiditis, which I had never heard of before in my entire life. But basically they were saying that my body was producing antibodies to kill my thyroid gland. So they put me on Synthroid, and just recommended that I see them every year for a follow-up. And so I've been doing that. I've been doing life signs, and nothing had changed with my thyroid. And then in September of 22, I went for my annual endocrinologist visit, and they did an ultrasound of my neck because they like to monitor the gland, and they noticed a mass. And they said, well, it's really not that big, but we probably should do a biopsy on it. So they did the biopsy, and on September 28th, the day before my daughter's first birthday, they called me into the office, and I had the results from my biopsy, and it was cancer. It ended up being papillary thyroid cancer, which is a very slow moving cancer. It's considered the least aggressive of all the different types of thyroid cancer. So we went ahead and scheduled the surgery to remove it, and they gave me the option to remove half of the gland or the entire thing, and they said, we can't guarantee that you won't get cancer on the other side. So I said, just take the whole thing, because I don't want to have 2 surgeries for the same thing. Absolutely. So they took the whole gland, and because of the size of the tumor, it was 1.8 centimeters. For those not familiar with metric system, that's just under an inch. So 1 inch by 1 inch. They gave me 1 round of radiation iodine, which is a pill that you have to swallow. And a little worrying when you walk into the room where they set the pill on the table, and it's in a glass tube on top of, like, they call it a pig, but it looks like a big Yeti rambler that's basically just concrete. Oh, wow. And they said, don't touch the pill with your hand, just swallow it. Wow. And because of the size of my children, I had to isolate for 10 days until my radiation levels were safe enough to be around them, because it's not things that I touch that become radioactive, but my body is just emitting radiation. Long story short, I could have taken that information from life signs and just said, like, they just said it looks a little irregular, and never seen an endocrinologist, and the tumor would have continued to grow. Luckily, my endocrinologist caught it before it reached my lymph nodes and was able to spread anywhere else.
Yeah, so I think you hit on something. I think we talked about it earlier too, is firefighters and our egos and our thought processes that this can't happen to us. So and I know you said you exercise very healthy, right. Eat healthy.
Right. When I first got on this job, my goal was to be the most fit firefighter that has ever been on this job. And Chief Crawford, we worked at the same station together. He knew, or he knows, that I used to work out a lot, try to eat healthy all the time. That's not the case with cancer, because the turnouts that we have on, when we go into these fires, all the carcinogens that's in there, it lies and wait in the turnouts. So that being said, with my health, with the situation that I went through, if I had not had that physical, I would have never known, because I had no signs, no symptoms, no anything. It was just blood work that showed it. And with the firefighter ego, man, that can't happen to us.
Right. We're the ones that save lives. Right?
Exactly. We save lives. It don't happen to us. And when you sit back and have that mentality, if a doctor gives you a diagnosis or say, hey, go get this checked out, and you refuse to do it, you're signing your own death sentence.
And I heard you got a couple of young kids. One.
Yes, ma'am. 3 years old, my son, and my daughter is 1. And I'm 39 years old. Like, firefighter ego. Yeah. Like, I'm not even 40 years old. I can't get sick. Well. It's very sobering to realize that you have cancer. Yeah. And I have young children. Like, I want to be around to see them grow up.
Absolutely. And we talked earlier, you're pretty diligent. You said you're pretty diligent about trying to clean your turnouts and take the showers after fires and stuff. So you tried to be pretty diligent about that.
Yes, ma'am. And even before firefighter cancer was really kind of on the radar, I would always like bring my soiled clothes like from a house fire, bring them home like in a garbage bag, make sure my wife didn't have anything in the washer, and I would wash my stuff separate. And you know, tried to be as clean as I could, but you just can't get rid of everything. And no matter what precautions that we take, the carcinogens are always there. And that's why it's so important to have a life science physical every year.
Or if it not, I mean, life sciences obviously, so that's one of the things that and I'll let Chief Crawford tell about that process. They can do that on duty, and you went on duty to get your life science physicals over the years?
Yes, ma'am. I believe there was one time when I went off duty just because of the schedule with work and the kids and stuff, and I don't think I had been promoted at that point, so I was riding the unit. And I was like, you know what, I'll just go off duty because it was still important to me and I wanted to go. And our physicals for 2022, I had asked the guys before my cancer diagnosis, like, hey, we got to get our life science physical this year. And then I was diagnosed with cancer in September. And I told the guys, I was like, look, this happened to me, like the presumptive cancer bill in Tennessee, like, you have got to go this year. I'm calling life science, everyone's going. If you don't want to go, that's fine, that's on you, but like, you know the risks involved with not going.
Chief, I kind of laughed when you were asking about his kids, right? Me, Chief Crawford knows, I have 5 boys and 7 girls, so I have a lot of kids. So for me, looking at the cancer diagnosis, not knowing how this was going to go, it had me worried. This is the first time in my life that I feel like this is the weakest point of my life. I've never felt so helpless. And when you get that diagnosis and you're looking at, okay, they're not even in elementary school yet. I have a few that's in high school and some that are grown. I want to be here for them. That's why I made that decision to go ahead and have it removed. But then after I had it removed, my urologist, he told me, I'm glad we did it when we did. He said, because it had started spreading to other organs.
Oh, wow.
And I asked the question, well, Doc, did you get it all? He said, it won't be detectable. That's not answering my question. Did you get all of the cancer? He said, through your blood work, we'll know, and it won't be detectable. 9 months later, the cancer came back. So even though you think that you're out of the water, in the clear, there's always that possibility.
Dealing with life and death situations every day, and then you're faced with your own mortality, and realize that we're just people too. I know a lot of, heroes. You go to work in the community trying to help citizens of Memphis, and then you have to face that we're just human beings too, and we not immune to those type of illnesses. So Chief Crawford, let's tell everybody, how can they schedule? I know we just roll into FY23, calendar year 23. So it's a new year on everybody's insurance and everything. So they need to start scheduling their life science physicals. Let's talk about how they can do that and some of the other things that they can do to protect themselves.
Yeah, so thank you too for coming in. Real quick, I've known, like Jesse said, for years, back when we both had dark hair. And Steve, the last few years, when we all came on this job, we had no idea that cancer was one of the hazards that could get us. Now it's worldwide because of the synthetic materials used in building construction. The state of Tennessee realized after years of education that we have a hazardous job, and they did the Barry Brady Act. He was a firefighter from, I think, Smyrna, Tennessee, that ended up succumbing to cancer, and they called it the Barry Brady Act. Realizing that we are susceptible to cancer, they added 4 cancers, and then anything that goes along with those 4 cancers, from skin, colon, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. They also added in July of 22 testicular and leukemia. And Life Sciences has been testing for those since July. The city, realizing that we are susceptible to cancers, added 6 at the time, and they've recently added breast cancer screenings. They range from the ones they added from thyroid cancer to prostate cancer and everything in between, stomach, mesothelioma, lung. So they've added those to, they realize the worth of us and they want to take care of us. We have obligations, speaking of life science, speaking of physicals, we have obligations to uphold on our end. You guys know we have to get an annual physical. It's medical physical and a cancer screening physical. Life Science does that. They test for all of the cancers that are listed that are going to be covered under this presumptive law and the ones the city cover. Another thing is we have to be firefighter for 5 years consecutive or more to be eligible. And we have to have been in heat, smoke, fumes, carcinogens, anything atmospheric where there's chemical hazards. We have to be in those acting as a firefighter on duty.
We fight enough fires out there that one's pretty easy to meet.
Exactly. And, you know, making 3, I think we average 3 to 4 fires a day, sometimes none, maybe, sometimes 7. We average 3 or 4 a day on the average. So we're going to get in those hazardous chemicals. A fire, and I think Steve hit on it, or one of y'all hit on it, that when we go into a fire, we're getting into hundreds of hazardous chemicals, and a lot of them carcinogens. We can brush those things off. We can get 85% of them off by gross deconning and brushing them off at the fire scene. But we're still susceptible to getting the cancer. Life Science does a very thorough, streamlined physical. You guys know, I think the last time I went a few months ago, I was in there like an hour and 15 minutes. The doctors there and the personnel there are very pleasurable. The doctors are great. They get you in and out. And like Chief Switch said, the administration allows us to do it on duty. We don't have to do it on our own time. So that's what a great benefit. They allow us to, after fires, gross deconning and getting out of service to go back to the fire station and deconning ourselves, putting on clean clothes. With the physicals, it's something that we got to do. It's something we have to do on our end. We have to get those physicals, an annual physical. What happens if we miss an annual physical? That's to be seen. I don't know, but we need to get those annual physicals. It's a very easy process. I sent with the information bulletin the other day. Again, this is January's Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. Sent an info bulletin out. Attached was a list of the cancers that are screened for by Life Science. And also was attached was a piece of paper that you just sign up for it. The lieutenant puts all the personnel in the company, sends that registration to the battalion chief, and the battalion chief looks at his staffing and then gets with David Netta Russell at Life Science, and David Netta schedules the physical for us. It's a very easy process. Now, one thing we can't do is carry the pumpers and trucks over there, so we have to use an ARV if we can get one. So it's a very easy process. Now, I've had firefighters ask me, can I go to my PCP and get that physical? Yeah, you can go to your PCP. One thing that I would encourage before you go is to send that sheet of covered cancers to your PCP and have them look at them and tell them this is what I have to be screened for to be covered under the presumptive bill and to be covered by the city with the cancers they cover. A few years ago, I used my PCP, and I went in, they did blood work, and it was the normal blood work like you'd get if you get medication refills. There was no screen for the cancers that we now have covered. So I would encourage if anyone uses their PCP to send that sheet to them and say, this is what I got to be screened for.
Okay. So there's several avenues. They don't have to use Life Science. They can use your primary care. I guess, what would you like to say to your brothers and sisters out there that are watching this today? What message do you have for them? I know I've talked to both of you. Other firefighters have reached out to you who've had cancer or concerns about some of their health issues. And I know both of you are willing for people to reach out to you if they have somebody just to talk to, need somebody to talk to. What do you have? What do you want to say to your brothers and sisters?
What I'd like to say to my brothers and sisters, especially the newcomers that's coming on board, don't look at having your turnouts covered in soot as a badge of honor. It is not. When you leave a fire, go decon yourself. Decon yourself, get this stuff off of you because it will affect you and your loved ones. Another thing, don't take this job for granted as far as when the job offers Aflacs. A year prior, me trying to save money, cutting costs, I let my cancer policy drop. That's my biggest regret because that right there would have covered all expenses. I took it for granted that I'd never get sick like that.
Because it's not just the medical costs, it's the other things.
It's your bills that you have at home, your medical costs.
You can't work your second job.
Can't work your second job because right now I'm totally dependent on the fire department. And the thing is, if I hadn't let that lapse or canceled it, then I wouldn't have any worries. But the newcomers that's coming on, this is not a game, this is life. And it's a life game that can either benefit you or change your life forever and change your family members' lives forever.
Really want to kind of snowball on top of what Jesse had said. I actually did keep my cancer policy. Although mine's not with Aflac, it's with Colonial. All I had to do was upload my lab results on their website and they sent me a check in the mail. Brothers and sisters, like, please get all the coverage that you can because you never know what's going to happen with this job. My thyroid cancer is covered by the city with the presumptive cancer bill with the state. Today is B shift, so today is actually my 25th day of sick leave, and I've always come to work. Always felt like I had an obligation to, even if I wasn't maybe feeling the greatest, pre-COVID, I felt like I had an obligation to let the other shift go home. And so I have plenty of sick leave, and hopefully I'll get all that back when this is approved, but that's a process. And the union has told me that it could take up to 6 months for all that approval process to go through. Now, hopefully I'll be back to work 1st of February, and this will be in the past. And hopefully, yes, sir. But I will have to have follow-up scans just to ensure that the cancer's not come back like it has in your case. Yeah.
There's lots of avenues, lots of things we've put in place. Get your screenings, go get your physical, not just for cancer, for other health issues that we have, such as heart disease, and we're more prone, high blood pressure, all of those things that are related to the stressors of the job. So the importance of just trying to stay healthy is the first step, but also you just never know, you need to go. A lot of these things, they're either job related or could be heredity. The second thing, clean your turnouts. I know having a dirty, sooted up helmet and the hoods and everything, there's a reason we do the glove and the hood exchange on the scenes, is because the hoods, that's the closest to your thyroid. So, there's a lot of research that went into why we do that. We do have the extractors that we're putting in different fire stations now. So you have your yearly cleanings, but also you can go get them cleaned additional times from that. And just try and do what we can to keep everybody safe. But like Chief Crawford said, we need them to do their part too, and especially go get your cancer screenings.
We have the extractors at Station 1, 5, and 43 that you can take your stuff to.
Yeah. In addition to logistics.
Yes, and I plead with all of our brothers and sisters. Even if you gross decon your gear, which we need to be doing without fail, just remember that for every 5 degrees that your temperature goes up, fighting a fire, your absorption rate goes up 400%. So these toxins get into your body and hide in your fat lipids. Some of them come out through normal cleansing. I mean, even in the 50s, but yeah, I don't mean it like that. But they do, your body does cleanse itself, but some of that stuff stays hidden for years, and that's why we get cancer years later. So we don't know what we're getting into. And so we just need to use our baby wipes, use our light soap and brush and gross decon at fire scenes, and do our
And wear your mask,
gloves.
wear your mask,
You know, it's
even past the time where you think you shouldn't wear it.
Yeah, there are fire departments that require wearing a mask during overhaul. So a lot of these cancers, this smoke that's put off between 200 and 400 degrees, and some of these fires and some of the smoldering is very dangerous. And we know that now. And the badge of honor is not a badge of honor anymore. You know, it might have been 50 years ago, but it's not now.
Yeah, because now I have this badge of honor.
Yes.
Nice scar right across the front of my neck.
I'll tell you
And a
what.
pill I have to take every single day. I have to take Synthroid now because I have no thyroid gland. So if you want that badge of honor, then do things the wrong way.
All right, well, I appreciate you guys coming in and sharing your story with us.
Man.
I'm so glad that you caught it.
Thank you.
You caught it early, and hope for a full recovery for both of you. And for their brothers and sisters out there listening, you know, please go get your screenings and take care of yourselves.